it is time for another book box. Hello, my name is Emily Crow from The Cozy Crow, and welcome to my YouTube channel. And today I have another Yarnaceous Fibers book box, and I really enjoyed doing this book box last time. If you haven't seen my video, I'll link it up here. But basically, there is a book, there is yarn, there are other goodies, and you read the book, and when you get to the designated pages on the packages, then you open the packages and you can see what goodies are associated with that page. And I really love this because it gives me a chance to do more reading, and it is yarn themed, so I know that there's a project or yarn or notions or things related to my fiber arts craft, as well as getting a chance to read a book. And a lot of these books are not ones that I already have or not ones that I know already I'm going to read, so it's nice to branch out to read things that I haven't read before and to see what other interests I have. So this is a really fun way to experiment with books and with yarn if you are interested in both of those realms. The book for the month of April is A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. It is the first book in the Hades and Persephone saga. There are 7 books is what my Kindle told me. I did not purchase the book. I like that for this book box specifically, there is no book sent. And so if you already have the book, if you don't want to buy the book, if you want to use your library, if you want to do an ebook, or if you want to do an audiobook, that you can choose. And so it makes it definitely more accessible that you're not paying for a book that you might not want as a physical book in your box. I really do appreciate that. I got both the audiobook and the ebook from my library, and they are ready to go. I am running out of time on my holds actually, so I really needed to film this video to take advantage of my Libby loans and then decide as I'm reading it if this is a book that I really want to have in my home library. If it is highly rated, if it's one that I'd recommend, if it's one that I would want to show people, I read this book and I think this is a book you would want, or that I could actually lend out to people. That's kind of my standard for what books I want to have in my personal library. And I don't know about this one yet. It's a wild card. We'll see. It's a dark romance retelling of, Hades and Persephone. I'm really excited. I heard great things about this box, and Maggie from Yarnaceous Fibers, who put this box together, is really excited about what it holds. So let me talk to you a little bit about what's inside the box. She updated her packaging, which is really fun. This is only the second month that she's done this book box, and this is how the packaging is now. It's in these nice plastic bags, everything sealed away with this cute logo that she came up with. Like I said, on the back, there is a page number, as well as a little quote from the book on that page related to what's in the bag. So let's see, I've got something for page 182. That's in a ways. I hope I don't have to wait that long to open something. Ooh, page 43. And this says that it is a food product. I got a little letter in my box that said, make sure to open this by like May 5th or something. So we're totally good on time for that. It should definitely still be good. But this might be the first one we open. Page 43. I tried to organize it earlier, but everything's got it all shifted around. Page 85, not too far away. This might be part of a pattern. Also page 85. I'm gonna stick those together. I have something to open on page 126. This is a small package. I don't know what that is. Page 337, towards the end. Page 301, another big one. Heavy too. Page 232. Oh, yay, I got a sticker. Yay! I can put that in my reading journal. Page 232, I think I have one already. Oh yes, the one that's maybe part of the pattern. So this is fun because I've done other book boxes where only the yarn is wrapped. You have all the fun goodies at the very beginning, which is fun, thematic, but this is fun that I just don't know what I'm opening at all. It could be anything. Probably the bigger ones are yarn. There's probably some notions. There's definitely some treats and some other like little goodies. I'm just excited. It gives you the same serotonin boost as like an advent or countdown calendar, but you're inspired to keep reading a book, which is so great. I'm gonna reorganize this box. I don't know, but I really hope I can get to page 43 today so I can at least open one of these packages and have something good to eat. So let's get right into it. I'm shooketh. Do you know what a narcissus flower is? It's a daffodil. I always thought that narcissus flowers sounded a little sinister. Daffodils are my favorite. They're literally my favorite flower. I'm astonished. Okay, finished the first chapter. It's a retelling of Hades and Persephone set in like a pseudo real world. She's at a coffee shop. She's a journalist. So there's definitely things that are like parallel to our world, but it's in a place called New Greece. They're in the city of New Athens. And the gods are like intermixed with the mortals, but have a lot of wealth and power within their society. People don't know that Persephone is not mortal. It'll be interesting to see how that dynamic evolves over time. This is very on the nose as far as a retelling goes, but in some ways I'm like, I don't know the original story super well, so it makes me want to find another retelling. I don't know if there's one by like Madeline Miller or by Jennifer Saint or one of those authors that talks about Persephone in like an actual Greek myth retelling. It makes me want to read one of those and brush up on my knowledge of Persephone and Hades, because this is very on the nose, and so there's some things that are like a little bit obvious, but then there's other things that I know are intentional, but I don't really know the meaning behind. This feels like a new adult book. She's finishing up college. The way the writing style is, it definitely feels like it's a romance new adult style book just from beginning read. So it'll be a quick read, I think. We'll keep reading and see if we can make it to, what was that page? 45 maybe? I can't remember. Oh my goodness, it's so cute. Yum. I am having such a fun time reading this book. I did not expect it. It's a very easy read. There's a lot of the references to like Greek mythology, names and practices and things, but also it's set in our world, and so there's a lot to learn and understand about this pseudo real world with like Greek gods. So it's just very entertaining. We found out that Persephone has accidentally been trapped in a contract with Hades, and I'm interested to see how that plays out. I'm about 15% of the way done with the book already, maybe around like 50 pages. I have other things I need to do, unfortunately, so I think I'm going to put this down for now, work on some other stuff, and probably come back to this later this afternoon if I have time. And I can keep reading, maybe get to the next package. And I really want to eat that cookie. It looks really good, but I really want to take a picture of all the goodies, all laid out, especially if there's a pattern with this box. The last one had a pattern to go with the yarn. I would love to take a nice picture, flat lay of everything all together, and so I gotta hold off on eating that cookie for a few days. Alright, we have yarn and a pattern, and it looks like we're doing some socks. I love how Maggie put her logo for the book club on the back of the card. So it looks like it's just starting off with a cuff. I've got a contrast color. This is Hades. It's a little hard to see in this light, but it's definitely a black, and it almost, at least to my eyes, looks like it has a little bit of a like a purplish hue to the black. And then the stitch mark is by Happy There's a skull. There's an, I don't know what that is. A bulb? Like a flower bulb, maybe? First thought was an onion, and I don't think that that's right. So maybe it's a flower bulb, and then a flower itself. So cute, cute, cute. I'm probably not going to cast on tonight, but I can cast on tomorrow because I've got a little bit of time. So I'm excited to get started with that. And then I mentioned that I was intrigued by the story of Hades and Persephone and not knowing what the actual lore is in Greek mythology. And then I remembered I had this classic mythology book, so I figured I would look and learn about both Persephone and Hades, though this was like a $5 annex book at Barnes & Noble, so I shouldn't have expected so much, but there's no index, so I can't search for like Persephone's name and find all the instances where she's mentioned, and that would be so helpful, especially because there's like 1,000 chapters. There's like all these chapters, so many, and all the gods and goddesses and the significant heroes and stuff, their lives are all kind of tied together. It's a big wreath of stories, so that would have been really helpful. So I'm bummed about that. But then also all the names are Roman and my knowledge on the Greek pantheon is literally Greek, and so Hades is the name I'm familiar with, so I had to look it up and see what is Hades' name for the ancient Romans, and it was Pluto. So there is at least a Pluto section. He has 10 pages specific to himself, though none of the sections are named after Persephone, who also has a different name for the ancient Romans, but it still starts with a P, and I know it's not on this list. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure out what Demeter's name is for the Romans and search under her name and like just look through the list and see if I can find out more about them, because I feel like that's kind of significant that Hades stole Persephone to be his wife. It should be in here somewhere, right? So I'm going to be doing some looking because I finished my chapter. See if I can learn more about the actual mythology and see if that gives me a little bit more understanding on what's going on here in this retelling. Okay, I found it. So Demeter's name for the ancient Romans was Ceres. So there's also a chapter section called Ceres and Proserpina. I feel like I'm saying that wrong. But the very first entry in that is Pluto kidnaps Proserpina. So I'm pretty sure that that is what I need. So I'm going to read a little bit about Pluto, aka Hades, and a little bit about Proserpina, or Persephone, and learn a little bit about their backstory. And again, Greek mythology has differences from different accounts, though a lot of the accounts in here are from the ancient Romans, like literally thousands of years ago. They're like the written version, though I'm sure there's some differences in oral histories, so this isn't like an end-all and be-all. So with that in mind, I'm going to learn more about their story. Pluto, son of Cronos and Rhea. Ceres, or Demeter, daughter of Cronos and Rhea. Are they siblings? Wait, that's messed up. If this is the love interest. Though I mean, like, it's the Greek gods, and like they didn't care about incest as much as we do. I guess we'll see if that's what happens in this book. There is some tea here. Apparently, Pluto, or Hades, is a very sad boy because he keeps asking the goddesses to marry him. No one wants to join him in the underworld. And so he just steals Persephone and captures her. Ceres / Demeter is very sad, and it ends up that Persephone can leave the underworld if she hasn't eaten anything, as decreed by Zeus. She has eaten pomegranate seeds, so for every pomegranate seed she's eaten, she has to stay a month of the year with Hades in the underworld. She had eaten 6. There's 6 months of the year where she's in the underworld and 6 months of the year where she is above ground. And that is how we get springtime and summer for us mortals, is she comes back up to the surface and she causes all these plants to grow and spring to happen. for the spring and summer, and then after the 6 months, she goes back down below to spend time with Hades in the underworld. That's where we get fall and winter. So that was delightful to learn more about. In retrospect, a lot of that sounded familiar, but it was really good to brush up on. I have a little bit more I'll maybe want to read about Hades himself, but really now I just understand Hades and Persephone's relationship according to classic mythology. We'll take that knowledge with us into our reading of this book, A Touch of Darkness. Hello, it is another day, and I just wanted to share with you kind of how this morning has gone. It's been a nice self-care, take it easy kind of morning. I went on a nice walk outside. It's a little bit on the colder side, but it's nice and sunny, and so it was just nice to be outside and walking. I've been biking. I have an indoor cycle that I've been using recently, and I decided that I haven't walked in a while or run in a while, so I wanted to get out and do that instead of cycling. So that's what I did. I had some breakfast, I took a shower, and while I was doing all this, I guess I also took a break and did some painting on I paint by numbers that I worked on last night when my daughter was painting something. I left it on the kitchen table, and I just picked it up again and listened to my audiobook. Now, I have other books going on besides A Touch of Darkness, so I figured now is a good chance to share with you kind of what I've been reading before I get going for the day and hopefully get some stuff done before I return to the book for this. I follow Kayla of Books and Lala, and I really like that she includes non-video related content, just little snippets of her life in her vlogs. So I figured I would just share something a little bit not related, but also kind of bookish related. So I finished this morning while I was on my walk, and then right afterwards as I was painting, I finished In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. This is the second book in the Love Light Farms series. I really like Love Light Farms. I had a really hard time getting through this book, so I switched to audio, and I'm really glad I had it from my library so I could just blow through it in like 2 days. Definitely didn't like it as much as the first one. Just the dynamic of the relationship was not the kind of thing that I'm looking for when I am reading a romance. It was definitely more lusty and there was some miscommunication, but I do like the writing style, and this is just the cutest book. I've got the other book that's already come out for the summer season book. I think the summer book is maybe Layla's story. Is that the right name? She's the baker on the farm. And then Business Casual is the fall book, and that is, I think, Charlie's story, who is Stella's half-brother. Enjoyed it. Not my favorite of the series. We'll see how I like some of these other stories as we get into it. But I'm glad to finally have that finished because it's been like over a month. Because I just did not want to read it. I wanted to read other things. Maybe that's partly the other books I was reading, but partly I just like was not feeling like it was just so lusty, especially at the beginning because it starts with a one-night stand, that I just like wasn't invested for a while. So it was a slow start for me, but I'm glad I could do the audiobook. And then my other audiobook that I have got going on now that I finished that one is Mama Cusses by Gwenna Lathlen, and this is a parenting guide. Gwenna is on TikTok as Mama Cusses. I follow her on YouTube specifically. I'm not on TikTok, and she's hilarious. You'll see it says a field guide to responsive parenting and trying not to be the reason your kid needs therapy. I really appreciate her perspective in her videos, and she's really funny, very relatable, very weird, but in like a lighthearted way. That I'm not her kind of weird, but I really appreciate her kind of weird, if that makes sense. So I'm reading this. I just wanted more perspective on parenting. I've got a 3-year-old, and some days are great and some days are hard. That's parenting for you. So I wanted to support her and read this book. I've purchased it, and it's been nice that I have the physical copy, so when something stands out in the audiobook, I can make a couple underlines for things that are really meaningful for me. It's very much more of like a vibes book than like, here's a gajillion pieces of information that could be helpful for you, which is my speed right now. I don't really want something that I have to study and take lots of good notes in. It's just nice to be able to like underline a couple sentences that are really meaningful for me and make me think a little bit more about my choices in parenting. And it's really funny. She does swear a lot. She is a really enjoyable listen, and she narrates her own audiobook. So that's been a joy. I'm about a third of the way through that. So I did get the audiobook for A Touch of Darkness, but I don't want to use the audiobook unless I have to, because I can't film while I'm listening to my audiobook because I have it on my phone and I film on my phone. So if I can, I'm going to try to use my Kindle so I can still film myself reading and film myself talking about it without having to like pause every time I want to turn on the camera and do that. I have things to do. I'm hoping to finish an edit for a vlog. I went to Great Basin Fiber Arts Fair this past weekend, so hopefully I can get that vlog finished today. I have a couple of things to do for Google AdSense since I am monetized now, and I'm really excited. So trying to finish up some online paperwork type things for that, get some stuff done. Hopefully take a lunch break and get some reading in then. This has been a fun book to read. It is a fast read. It is intriguing, though it's not super deep. It feels much more light than other dark romances I've been exposed to. So we'll see if like more dark and sinister feelings come about. But I can already tell that this is going to be probably spicy. They have a lot of sexual tension. So I'm intrigued to see where it goes. I'm about on page 130. So I need to check and see when my next package is that I can open. All right, and a recap of yesterday. Opened this skein, which like has such a subtle like purple or reddish tint. It is so subtle. It's definitely like a true black. It's called Hades. These stitch markers from Happy. So hard to see in this lighting. There you go, you can kind of see a little better. And I do kind of think that this might be a daffodil bulb, is my guess. And then a yarn cozy, which is so cute. And it came with the beginnings of a sock pattern. Just the cuff, so hopefully we'll cast that on today and get some reading done while I'm knitting on that. The next package might be a full skein or a 50-gram skein. It feels really big. So this is on page 182, which is actually not that far away. Definitely can get to that today. And then, is this another mini? Oh, it feels like maybe another mini skein. On page 232. Like another 50 pages to this, another 50 pages to this. I think we could definitely get there today. Looks like maybe another part of the pattern at page 232. So, we're making progress. There's about 400 pages in this book. I really want to finish this vlog and this book before my library hold runs out, which is tomorrow evening at like 8 or 9 o'clock. So I think we can do it because it's been fun, but I have to get some stuff done first. So let's go do that. All right, let's cast the sock on because if I don't cast on soon, I have no hope of finishing this sock by the time I finish the book. All right, I just read until I finished the chapter that this next package is assigned to. We went to a club that belonged to Aphrodite, and man, the sexual tension. Though, honestly, Persephone's a bit dense. And maybe we can give her a little grace because she spent the first 18 years of her life secluded because of her mother. But she's kind of dense. She does not listen. She doesn't promote good conversation. She very much is like, I'll ask a question and hear the beginning of your answer and then move on because I don't want to hear it, kind of thing. She's a bit dense, but she's also like very much into Hades. So it's interesting kind of seeing the slow burn. Anyway, so I finished that chapter that I was on. I'm on about page 190 right now. I have like 15 rounds of my cuff done. I'm almost done with the cuff. It's really hard to capture the color in person, but it is time to open the next package, which is on page 182. La Rose was a beautiful building that looked like several crystals. This is Aphrodite's club. Let's see what it looks like. the next part of the pattern. Ooh, it looks like it's a textured sock. Knit pearls, knit through the back loops, little cable bits. Nice. Oh, I love it. This is called La Rose. It's so pretty. I love this yarn. Ooh. I'm trying to decide if I should keep reading because I'm having lots of fun, or if I should film my podcast. And I still have tomorrow both to read this book and for like filming my podcast and stuff. But I was thinking I was gonna film my book video tomorrow, my book podcast. And I have to do 2 months worth because I missed my April filming. I did film it. I just didn't have time to edit, and it was mid-April before I had a chance to even start. I figured I would just do my April filming and my May filming all together. So that means I have a lot to talk about. So I don't really want to film another big sit-down video tomorrow. Honestly, though, with how the pattern is, I don't think I can knit and read at the same time. It's got 2 different sections of the pattern repeat. The first section is a lot more involved. The second half is the part that will repeat until the length of your leg is determined, and that part has a lot less going on, more rounds of just stockinette. So at least for the first like 13 or 14 rounds, I would not be able to read while I knit, but then for the rest, I could probably read for most of it and put my reading down to do 1 or 2 rounds within that repeat for the leg. I think I might read until I finish my cuff. I think I'm going to wind this up because this is stunning. Oh my goodness. And maybe stick it in my little yarn cozy. I should probably get some other stuff done, even though I really just want to read. Maybe I can get to the next package to open. That would be really fun. I think it's probably the heel instructions. There might be a second conscious color for the heel. We'll find out definitely today, though I don't know if I'm going to do that this afternoon. It's already almost 3 o'clock, so I probably should just do my filming. Make sure I get that done. I'm trying to be responsible. It's so hard when you're reading a fun book. I have absolutely no self-control, and I kept going. But now I've gotten about halfway through the first section of repeats, so there's a little bit of texture. A little hard to see. I'll show that off in a little bit. I'm loving this yarn though. And some stuff happened in the private bath. I just got to page 232, which is the next. I'm going to open the packages. I'm going to put them down, and I'm going to film my podcast. And probably after that, I'll need to go pick up my daughter from daycare. So we need to get things done. Emily, put down the book. Good morning. I'm gonna take this off so I can actually hear what I'm saying. I have gotten some stuff done today. I had a doctor's appointment, got some lab work done. I did some video stuff. I got my vlog published that I was working on, and oh my goodness, I had to re-export and re-upload, so that is finishing up right now. So almost got that actually totally taken care of. Thank you so much to the viewer who told me that there was a chunk of audio missing at the very beginning, which was not in my edited version of the video, but was in the exported version. So I was having issues exporting yesterday, so got that all figured out, uploading now. Hopefully no issues from here on out on that video. And I did some stuff with AdSense, got things set up, so hopefully I can start having money on my YouTube channel. So got all my stuff done. I even planned out my book podcast. So normally, I've been trying to do a monthly video for my yarn podcast, as well as sharing the books that I've read and books I'm hoping to read in the next month, but I missed April. I think I mentioned that. I can't remember if I mentioned that in this video or not, but I missed April just because of timing with filming and needing to edit and going on a trip and all that, so I figured I would just combine my March and April reads into one video, but that means I have like, math, 31 books to talk about, and I don't want it to take 2 hours. So I went through, I organized all the books I'm going to talk about in order from least favorite to most favorite in the month. And I also wrote down a few bullet point notes on like what things I want to talk about so that hopefully I can be more concise and just give some bare bones. This is why I gave the rating that I did, and I feel like this book is good for you if you like blank. So I'm happy about that. Here are my notes. Some scribbles from my daughter, a couple bullet points for all the books, so hopefully I can get through them pretty quickly. My goal is under an hour. Anyway, all that to say, all my have to do things are done, so now I can actually read. Yay! I've been reading a little bit while I was eating some food, and Hades and Persephone are about to play strip poker, and she has only got a dress on, so yeah, I'm digging this. I'm on page 257. The next package, I brought it over with me. It's a bigger bag, but it's just kind of heavier. I'm wondering if it's maybe like a candle or something. It doesn't feel like it's yarn, but it is on page 301. So I've got a little ways to go. I'm hoping to get to this, open it up, and then I think I'll go film my book podcast so I can get that done and upload the footage onto my computer. And then maybe I'll return to reading, or maybe I'll return to knitting because I have a ways to go on my sock and I'm starting to get into the groove of things. Or what if I start reading the next book in the series while I'm still doing this vlog and I'm trying to finish the sock while continuing the series? That's also a possibility. The flip-flopping going on in this book is driving me bonkers. This character has these very specific notions of who Hades is. And then she sees something and she's like, maybe he's actually different. And then she tells herself, no, he's not different. He's a really bad person. And then she talks to him about it and he's like, no, you were actually right the first time. It's frustrating to read about. She's purposefully being stupid. And looking at things very one-dimensionally. And even when she sees other evidence and she acknowledges the evidence, she's like, but that can't be right. He must be doing it because of X, Y, and Z reason that's actually very selfish. Okay, I thought I pressed record, but I did not. This package that I already opened is page 301. He tasted rich and smoky like the whiskey he drank. Hades' drink of choice. Beautiful candle, smells really good. A nice, dark, and moody. That'll be fun to light later. I am going to try to finish this chapter and then get some other stuff done, even though I really want to just keep reading. Because I do need to film my monthly reads video. I need to put on makeup before I do that. So, going to try to get that done before I come back to this. Or maybe I will work more on the sock that I'm knitting before I do that. I can't remember last time. I'm pretty sure I finished the book before I finished the knitting project. So I can always do that this time too. I'm really enjoying myself. This is a nice, fun, easy read. And there are more books in the series. So if I want to keep going, I could totally keep going. But I need to put this down pretty soon and work on something else. So let me finish this chapter. It says, I've got 2 hours left in my book. So hopefully I can still finish today. But we're going to go get some stuff done, listen to a different book on audio, and try to get my stuff together so I can get as much done today as possible. Alrighty, I think I'm going to be done. I don't know, it's maybe like 5 inches. I do like kind of a shorter sock, and I'm ready to move on to the heel. But I need to go get my daughter. We're gonna go out to eat for dinner as a family. I'll probably bring my Kindle with me so that if I'm like watching her in the play place, I can put in a few more pages. My library loan for the ebook at least ends tonight at like 9 o'clock. I just don't think I'll finish. I have like 90 pages left to go. So my thought is I'm going to turn my Kindle to airplane mode so that I can keep reading, because I would much rather do the ebook than do audiobook for this video. But I do have an audiobook available, so I can do that if I want. But I think I'm going to try to squeak by on the ebook and finish tonight after my daughter goes to bed. I think I can definitely finish before I go to sleep. They're baking together. Oh my gosh, too friggin' cute. The stakes have been high. They're getting higher. Is there deceit? What's going on? Honestly, I am inclined to think that Hades is right and that Persephone is making assumptions, because that's kind of how this book has been. I'm at 76% and I did not even realize I'm at page 338 that I can now open this last package. This is page 337. The Oracle had told her their colors were intertwined. So let's take a look and see what's in this package. Okay, this is actually really cool. Look, it's a bookmark with some macrame on it. That is really cool. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. And now I just need to finish reading this book. I've got maybe like 70 pages left. Not even. We're getting there.
What did I say? What did I say? Not a liar, never a liar.
The drama. Ooh, there's some bonus content. I'm going to blur out some of this so that I don't ruin it. Getting some good snuggles from my boy, Alfred. He's a very lovey cat. And I'm going to finish enjoying the bonus content, but I have finished the actual book. All right, so I am going to be winding up my contrast color 2 that I'm using for the heel, since I'm about to start that. And I finished my book, so I have things to say about it, but I'm just going to say a little bit. I finished a lot sooner than I thought I would, because there's an excerpt at the end of the digital book, and I'm assuming it's in the physical book too, and my Kindle predicted it would take me an hour to read that excerpt that's from the next book, which is apparently the same content but from Hades' perspective. And I mean, not 100% of the same content, because it is a different perspective, but I have already put in a hold at my library to listen to that. I think it'll be a quick listen, so that's my plan. So I'll probably listen to that while I'm working on this sock pattern. And since that's not actually what this box was about, I'm not going to talk a lot about it, but I'll probably do a little like conclusion, what I think about reading one, listening to the other, is it worth doing both, etc. I am happy that I finished it. It was a really fun and quick read, very spicy, very lusty. So I assume that Hades' perspective will be even more so, is my guess. But I finished my reading, so I feel really good about that. I'm going to work the next few days, and I'm going to make sure that this yarn is all ready to go so I can bring it to work with me in case on my lunch break, or if my patients don't need anything, I can be working on some knitting. Maybe if I have a learner with me that I can be chatting with and educating, etc. So it's always good to have some yarn in my backpack for work, and so this is going to be the project I'm going to bring with me. So I need to remind myself to take a picture of the pattern for the heel in case it's an interesting heel, because I haven't really looked at it. But yes, I have enjoyed myself reading this book, enough so that I would consider reading the next book right away. Though I don't really want to read another like 400-page book physically. Like, I have a lot of other physical books I want to read, so I'm going to do the audiobook for that, and I think it'll be a pretty quick read. Hopefully I can listen to it on ×2 speed, and then when everything's all said and done, I'll sit down, I'll do like an actual review of the book and the pattern in this box, so you can hear about what my experience has been doing this. It's my second time doing this box. I have really appreciated that these are books that I have noticed and been intrigued by, but maybe not felt comfortable branching out to try, or like not sure if I'll try. And so this has been a good push to get me to like actually get the library loan, try out the book, see how I like it. I don't know if I'm going to buy this book. I'm kind of leaning towards not, but I think I'm definitely going to read more in this series and kind of see where it goes. This is a fun, like, shallow read, and it's got some interesting plot points, and it's a fun retelling. It's just fun. It's just a fun read. And I guess I thought that dark romances would be more like intense and moody, and like, yeah, that's true, but also like it's definitely for entertainment and not for like sinisterness or anything like that. I'm still thinking on it. I'll get back to you, but let's get working on this sock and maybe listening to Hades' perspective of this book. I already downloaded it from Libby and I can't remember what it's called. All right, it is finally time to close out this video and give you my final thoughts on this book box, the yarn, the pattern, and the book that I read along with this. I really enjoy Yarnaceous' book boxes. This is my second one, and I like how there's already such a variety. So I'm definitely getting a taste for what Maggie's reading is, and it's been fun to be able to read these books that maybe I've seen before but haven't been super compelled to start reading. And I am glad that I was able to read A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair for this book box. Where to start? I think I'm going to talk about the book first because I actually read 2 books by Scarlett St. Clair in the time it took me to finish this pair of socks. And I probably could have read more, but I pivoted to something else because I was at a kind of a good break. So I read A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. That was the book associated with this box where on certain pages of that book, you open packages and got the goodies and the yarn and the pattern and things like that. So that's what I read first. I read it on my Kindle as an ebook and I flew through it. It was a really, really fast read, even though I think it was over 400 pages. So it was a really fast read, which makes book boxes like this even more fast because I'm like anxious to get to the next page where I can open another package and see what I have because there's a huge variety. I made some notes based on my review of this book. So I rated this a 3.75 star. I definitely enjoyed it. It was super fun. I felt like I couldn't put it down. Like I was reading it while I was making dinner. I was reading it right before putting my daughter down for bed. Like I just could not put this book down. It was a really quick and easy read, not difficult at all in the writing style. I did find that this was very adult and spicy. Like not necessarily as kinky as like Butcher and Blackbird, but there were constant spicy scenes. Like as soon as they finally got together, like there was just a lot of sexual tension, and even before that there was a lot of sexual tension building up to it, and then they just had lots of bedroom time, like constantly, I felt like. So that wasn't my favorite. I'm much more of an emotional relationship person in my books than a physical relationship person in my books, but I know some people prefer having like lots of spicy scenes. So just so you know, there's lots of spicy scenes in this book. I did feel like though this book didn't really have a lot of plot. Like the plot was very flimsy. There wasn't a ton of backstory, which was surprising considering the information I got about Persephone and how like Demeter had kept her locked away until Persephone went off to college. Like I feel like there was a lot of backstory that could have given a lot more meat to this story and it wasn't explored, and I would have loved more of that, especially because I found that I really liked learning about our modern day world where the gods of Olympus were like on the earth. They were like famous and wealthy mixed amongst people, and there were like all the Greek monsters and things were also around. It was just a very interesting take on the modern world, and I would have loved even more about that. Another reason that I like didn't find this book perfect to my taste is I felt like Persephone, there's a lot of things I liked about her, but she also was very like distrustful, and it felt like she was just fabricating issues with Hades and with Minthy, who was the nymph that was helping out Hades, like Hades' assistant or whatever. She was fabricating a lot of jealousy. Like it just, I could not get behind it. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, she's making it up. Like, why is she doing that? She's torturing herself. The conflict was something that like Persephone kind of perpetuated, which I didn't really like. Though without that, what would have been the conflict? I don't know. I still really enjoyed it, but there were definitely things that made this not a perfect book for me. But I had a lot of fun and I blew through it really fast. And then because I was still working on this pattern, I decided to read book 2 of this saga, which is A Game of Fate. Yes, A Game of Fate. And this is technically the first book's experiences through Hades' eyes. And so you flip the narrator, you get actually a lot more plot and backstory on like what's going on and his motivations. And there's like this overarching story of like Sisyphus and Aphrodite and things going on that was satisfying to read about, because you really didn't get any of that type of plot in Persephone's story. But I also felt like this plot kind of got lost a few times throughout the story. And I felt like the romance wasn't nearly as compelling from Hades' point of view, because he's like, oh, well, this is fate. I'm going to end up with her. And so you didn't see the progression of feelings or experiences from his point of view. And so he was just going about his daily life, and he'd be like, oh, look, there's Persephone doing something. And he would go back to doing something else, and then, oh, surprise, there's Persephone. And so that felt kind of disjointed as well. Though it was definitely more horny, which is surprising considering how much sexual tension there was in the first book. I honestly feel like I enjoyed this too. It was also a really quick read. I listened to it on audiobook instead of reading it, and I got through it in like 2 days. I liked how we saw more of Hades' darkness within him. Like, he definitely alluded to more bad things, like that he's not actually a good person. Even though there's lots of good things he did, he's got a sordid past, and there's still some darkness and anger within him that might come out in later books. So that was kind of nice to see that alluded to. Honestly, I kind of wish that both of these stories had been condensed and smashed together into one book. It might have been hard to make it an appropriate length to read, but I feel like the substance between these two books could have amounted to one book. Maybe fewer bedroom scenes and more plot. I don't know. I feel like it could have been condensed and made into one book. Though I'm not necessarily mad that I read both these books. Like, it was a grand old time. I enjoyed myself, and I definitely see myself reading more books in the series. But I'm also at like a good stopping point that I don't feel like I have to continue on to the next book. Though I did feel after the first book, I really wanted more of this world. So I read Hades' version of the story. So I think it kind of alternates between Persephone and Hades' perspectives throughout the series. So I'm excited to read a little bit more and see what comes next. Hopefully more plot, more backstory, because that's what I was intrigued about, and I didn't get as much as I wanted out of this series so far. And honestly, I could have read another book by Scarlett St. Clair while I was trying to finish up this second sock, and I should have, just to see how long it would take me. And it really hasn't taken me very long, but I finally finished both socks. Let's show you what I've got. So pretty. This one just finished blocking. I'll probably take it off the blocker, but I'll show you first. I think these knots, at first they were annoying to do. I felt like I kept dropping my stitches and like having to redo the knot, or like things were too tight, and it was just annoying to get the hang of. But by the second sock, I definitely got into a better groove with my tension so that I could do the knots without having to worry about dropping stitches or having like weird tightness or whatever. It definitely became more fluid of a process to do all these like little knobbly knots. And this heel is so cool. Sorry, cat hair. How it kind of integrated both yarns together, both contrast colors. Such a cool texture. When I first was doing it, I had a really hard time figuring out, like reading my knitting and figuring out what was going on and seeing this pattern emerge. By the second sock, I definitely was more comfortable with the pattern and was able to like keep track of it without looking at the actual pattern. So that was really nice. I could just kind of work it up, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Super cool. Let's see these colors. Hades, Persephone, and this is La Rosa, which is a bar that Persephone and Hades had an encounter at, is all I'm going to say. It was Aphrodite's bar, which is why like it was a very brief encounter between them. But maybe that was a turning point in the relationship. It was so fun. Yep, I have my second sock too. I honestly love this main color. It is so pretty. And I've got quite a good chunk left. I don't know how much. Maybe around 50 grams, maybe around 40 grams. I still have it in the cozy. I've not cleaned up my yarns from what I was working on, but I've got a good little chunk left. I definitely have used more of Hades than Persephone. I did my own toe, which was a little bit different of ratios compared to what was in the pattern.
but I think that this pattern will be available on Ravelry. So if it's up by the time I'm posting this video, I'll make sure to link it down below if you're interested in working on this pattern. I'm definitely going to be downloading it when that pattern is live so that I don't have to keep track of my pattern pages, because these are going to get lost, especially with a preschooler around. Came with a yarn cozy, cookies already gone, long gone. This wonderful smelling candle. A fun bookmark. I gotta put this in with my bookmarks that I have. This is probably the coolest bookmark I have, honestly. Some fun stitch markers that I didn't have to use working on a sock, because I am really familiar with working on socks and can read my knitting pretty well with the decreases and the gusset, but those will come in handy for sure. I can't remember if there's anything else. I might be missing something else. If I am, I'll list it up here. But it also came with a fun book club sticker. I had a really fun time working on this pattern. It was a really fun little texture, different techniques that I've never done before. And considering I've knit dozens of socks, that was really fun to be able to do something different. And I love how these colors play together and how the design coordinates with Hades and Persephone in general, which is like really cool. Like their strings of fate are knotted together, and how you see literally the colors are intertwined on the heel. Huge fan. I think Maggie did a great job, and I definitely recommend this pattern. And I recommend this book if you're interested in something that's a little bit dark, that's like modern retelling of Greek mythology, that has a lot of spicy scenes, and that's just like a fun, quick read. This is a fun one. I'm looking forward to reading more in the series. Not sure when I'll get to that, but I think there'll be some more like audiobooks that I listen to because they go by really fast. I've already ordered Maggie's next book box, which is Dragon Teeth by Michael Crichton. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he wrote Jurassic Park. I know that. And I'm excited. My friend Ashley of Goose and Ghost Knits designed the pattern to go in that box too. So I think it's coming in June. So not too much longer, and I'll get that box and I'll be filming that for you in June. But I definitely recommend, make sure to check out Maggie of Yarnaceous Fibers, other boxes and things that she is doing. And I know that I'll always love the kind of box that Maggie curates. She's got some beautiful colors too. A lot of them have fun dinosaur related names. So I highly recommend Yarnaceous Fibers. I can now put some of this stuff away and get back to knitting on my next project and reading my next book. Until next time, happy making and happy reading. Bye!